Hey everyone, happy Monday. Welcome to our Monday Live. Today we're talking about how to use the power of mothering to grow your business. Today's Monday, and yesterday we celebrated Mother's Day in the US, and I just felt inspired to talk about how we mother our business. And I was on an incredible summit this weekend that focused on the power of the mother. And I wanted to keep the conversation going. So today we're talking about, I want you to be thinking about in the background. Welcome. Thanks for joining me. Put your name in the chat. And if you're watching this on replay, please type in replay. I'd love to say hello to you. So, how are you caring for your business? How are you caring for you as the business owner? Do you feel good about how you talk to yourself, how you're treating yourself, and how you're showing up for your business? A lot of coaches, healers, guides that I talk to feel like they have a really critical voice that shames them for not doing enough, not being enough, not having enough. And then other people feel like they're just stuck in inaction and aren't doing enough. They don't have enough structure to create the momentum that they're looking for. It's a unique challenge as an entrepreneur, solopreneur, especially if you come from having a 9-to-5 job where you have that structure, you know you need to be at work at 9, you know you're going to leave at 5, you know you're going to get paid every 2 weeks, to now just be responsible for creating content, for hosting events, for enrolling people, for delivering. So there's so many hats that you're wearing. A lot of people struggle with not having a structure and feeling like they just have just so much open time and not knowing how to work with it. And I really feel like that's where the power of the mother can step in to support you, to give you not only the nurturance, but there's also boundaries. The mother doesn't just love. Part of boundaries is, part of love is boundaries, and there's discipline there. So we're going to be talking a little bit about that today. So feel free to say hello in the comments. Before we dive in, I was going to say, let's take a moment to ground, but I'll first say, if you're meeting me for the first time, hi, so happy that you're here. My name is 𝐘𝐨𝐿, and I work with coaches and service-based entrepreneurs, healers, guides inside of my Business Queen Academy, where I help you to create, launch, and market what I call your soul signature offer. And so I love to begin my women's circles, my webinars, even videos, with just taking a few moments to ground and mother ourselves through the breath. So thank you, Casey, for being here. Hi, Yolanda. So glad you could join live, and welcome, Gail. Yes, I did have a wonderful Mother's Day, and I hope you all did as well. So I'm just going to invite you, if you can, if you're not driving, to just close your eyes with me. And just take 3 conscious breaths. Allowing yourself to arrive into this now moment. And just notice that difference. You were paying attention and listening, and now you're just turning inward. And noticing your body relax and soften. And just take a few moments to just place your hands on your thighs, placing your hands, one hand on your other hand, on your belly, on your heart, and just telling yourself internally that you love yourself. And reminding yourself that the little one in you, that, hey, we're here together, we're in this together. Taking another nice deep breath. And gently opening your eyes. Awesome. That feels so good to me. How it only takes just a couple of seconds, a couple of moments to just consciously breathe, slow ourselves down, and just reminding ourselves that it's all here. It's all here. If we don't know the answer, we can find the answer, and we can do this at any time of day, as many times as you can. If you're at work, go to the bathroom, take a quick walk around the block after a session. This simple practice is the easiest thing to reach for if you feel like you need to give yourself that love and nurturance. Okay, so we're going to talk about our topic at hand, which is how to use the power of mothering to grow your business. And Yolanda says here, interesting how much tension I was carrying in my left shoulder. Thank you. You're so welcome. I myself even just noticed the difference of just taking a few moments to ground and take a few breaths, and how much tension we're all holding that you're not aware of, but moving around through life, through your day with all this tension, and we get to just let it down. We just get to let it down. All right, so we're going to talk about what it means to mother your business and how you can apply the principles of mothering to our business. And I guess I want to say that I know that mothering isn't there isn't one way to mother, just like there isn't one way to grow your business. But I would say that I'm going to talk about a few qualities that I feel like a lot of people use, a lot of people share when they think about mothering, and how you can apply that to your business to support you. And so essentially, to mother a business means to provide nurturance, to provide care and support so that you can ensure something's growth and development and success. And so easy metaphors come to mind, right? Like, okay, you're pregnant and you're going to probably be, even if you were healthy before, maybe you're going to be even more mindful about what you put into your body, even be more mindful of rest because you're caring for a baby and you want to give the baby everything that it needs. Um, People often use the metaphor of plants and flowers. I use it too. It's just like, okay, if you're a plant mama and you bring a plant home, you're going to see where you're going to place it. Should it get a lot of sun? Should it get more shade? Does it need minimal water? Does it need a lot of water? Like, you want to make sure the conditions are right for it to thrive. And similarly, like your business, a lot of people call their business baby. You don't have to, but the point being is that you had an idea. At one point, you had an idea in your mind's eye that I would like to, I'm seeing Yolanda start a VA business, and that could have just remained an idea, but you nurtured and loved it. So now it's like it's a baby on the outside. We can actually hold and see this business, and it actually supports and helps other people's. And you had to have goals, you had to take action, you had to follow through, you had to nurture it. And in the process, I would say, of being in your business and growing your business, it can be really easy to forget that. Like, oh yeah, there have been many a times where it's like, if you think about if your business was a child, you'd be like, wow, I'm not being such a great mother. I'm neglecting my child. I'm not talking to it. I'm not giving it what it needs. And then maybe there are times in cycles where you're like, oh my God. And I hear this a lot, where maybe I'll give an example where someone hasn't communicated with their list for a while and they feel bad. Yes, there are some differences, like if you neglect your child, they're really going to suffer. They're going to cry. They're going to be hungry. It's not the same as not emailing your list. So I don't mean that. But what I do mean is that your business is a creation, and that it responds to your loving attention and nurturance. And especially depending on what phase you are, similar, like when a plant is well rooted. Yolanda says, stop telling me my business, I'm not mothering my child correctly. Yeah, you guys are all going to do an honest assessment And again, even when we do honest assessments, we're never mean to ourselves. We don't beat ourselves up. Um, and so I'm going to get to some of these qualities. So like this is your chance to look. I myself, have had several. I mean, I've been in business for maybe officially a decade now, right? And so there have been many periods of time where I feel like, if we're using the example of mothering a child, that haven't been a great mom to my business yet. And then there have been many times where I'm like, I'm just in a great zone and relationship with my business, and showing up feels incredible. The thing is that if you're in a phase of neglect, of not paying attention, of not doing the things that you want to be doing, what happens? It's going to shrivel up and die. You're going to lose momentum, lose interest. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you actually lost interest in your business, but because you've created a momentum that's going in the opposite direction that you want. And the beauty is, we can also create a momentum from going in the direction that we do want. So like, there's phases to everything. Back to the plant child example, right? So if you feel like you're a parent and you're like, wow, I feel like I'm not spending enough quality time with my child, rather than beating yourself up for that, you can then say, so within that complaint is a desire. So if you have your complaints, what's the desire underneath of like, wow, I want to spend more quality time with my child. And then you're going to set a goal to do this. So the point of this isn't to just be like, oh, I'm such a bad parent and I should be taken away. The point is to, okay, so that complaint is telling me that I want something more. What is that thing that I want more? And now I'm going to set a goal to, once a day, I'm going to do this, or I'm going to show up this much. I'm going to host this event. So I think that you guys get the idea. So some of the qualities that we think of when we think of like the divine mother that gets associated with motherhood are compassion, are nurturing, protection, guidance, and sacrifice. And so I'm going to talk about each of these qualities. And as I talk to you about them, also know that there is a shadow side to each of those qualities. And I also acknowledge that we're all human. We don't mother perfectly, whether it's children, plants, projects, business. Like, we're human beings. We're not robots. And the irony, even though we know that mentally, it's just amazing how people expect themselves to be robots and be like, I'm just going to keep going no matter what happens. It's like, no, that's the ebb and flow. We learn something, we adapt, we change, we do better. So the point of this isn't to reach some perfection, which I don't know if that's possible, but I think that it gives us a great place to keep coming back to. So type a 1 in the comments if you follow where I'm going. I'm just going to grab a sip of water. Awesome. So the first one is compassion. And so compassion, not only for others, which if you're here, I imagine that might be something that comes to you easily because you're a coach, healer, or guide. Where people have a challenge is being compassionate, or extending compassion towards themselves. And so what that looks like is, sometimes my son, he'll say something like, I'm not good at this. Or he'll compare himself to his sister, right? And so business owners do this to themselves, but just sometimes you just need to be able to step back. Like, if you saw a kid saying this, or if you saw a friend or colleague saying this, would you be like, yeah, you're right, you're not as good as your sister? And we're going to take it back to what I said. So the first thing is just like, okay, it's like practice. Number 1. Number 2, you guys both have different styles. That was her vision. This is your vision. So like, honoring his creation and what is it that he wants to make. And maybe there's something that he likes that he sees his sister do that she could teach him how to do, rather than go like, I'm not good at this. And so where are you telling yourself, I suck, I'm not good at this? Just, the shame, blame thing that can be easy to get into to a pattern of. And so how can you extend compassion to yourself? Maybe you're charging something you've never charged before. Maybe you're doing something you've never done before. Maybe something feels like an edge for you. And can you just be compassionate with yourself in the mess? That is how we learn. That is how we grow. I know everyone watching here, I'd be curious to know if your kid or a kid was just like, I'm so stupid, I'm never going to be able to figure out math. Would you be like, yeah, you're right, you should just give up now? I'm curious to know. So how can you extend that compassion to yourself and to others? So the second one is, well, I just want to say another thing about compassion, like the shadow side of this. Like a lot of coaches, guides, like have so much compassion, or like they can feel the struggle of, something that a client's going through, and then you can take it on. So much so that you rob them of their own agency and feeling like they can do it themselves. They can overcome this, that you're seeing them. Remember, like a coach, our job as coaches and guides is to remember that people are whole, resourceful, and complete, and moving them back to the remembrance that they are whole, resourceful, and complete. I always tell my son is he doesn't know how to do something yet. Magic words, yet, until now. Yet, until now. Beautiful. Never thought about telling myself that yet. Yes, exactly. So it's like if you've never gone live, if you've never hosted a retreat, if you're not comfortable with sales, or like one thing I hear a lot is like, I'm not good at sales, there's a learning curve yet. So yes, I love that. Yet, that is a magic thing that you can use with yourself and with clients. Thanks for sharing that, Casey. So the second one is nurturing. Nurturing is a big word that we think about when we think about the mother energy, right? So that includes support. It could be encouragement. It could be attention. The idea here is that, once you give birth to a baby, it's not like the work is done. Like it's basically just starting. Once you bring the plant home, the work is not done. Once you launch your next program or grow your business or start your business, you have to nurture it. And so that's where we give quality attention. Everyone's going to give different levels of attention based on where they are, what their life is, but showing up, our business is a relationship. And so if you never talk to someone, but you say that you're in love with them, it'd be like, wow, there's not coherence here. So we want to nurture our business. So how are you nurturing your business? Oftentimes I feel like there's something that your intuition is telling you to do. And sometimes for whatever reason, your foot might be on the brake around it. It's like there's a reason why you can't do it. But that's when we go back to the compassion piece of like, maybe it's because of perfectionism or comparisonitis. And as you move with compassion through the process, you can support yourself in nurturing things imperfectly. And then there's just nurturing yourself. Like as you're nurturing your business, like your business relies on you. And so sometimes you can be so down, on the computer, focusing on your next task that you're neglecting your own health, your own wellness, your own exercise, your own food. Just here in the Facebook group the other day, I think I asked a question, what do you do to take a break take a break from work during the day? And people are like, get outside, eat a snack. Like all of those things seem so obvious, but it's things that are very easy to forget to do because you're just in a zone. So you just want to remember for yourself, don't let yourself get too hungry. Halt. Don't get too hungry, too angry, too lonely, too tired, right? So often people complain about the loneliness of the entrepreneurial path or being around others that don't get the path that you're on. And which is one of the reasons why I created this group, which stemmed from a women's in-person women's circle that I started maybe like 11 years ago. Because If you're the only person in your environment that is growing or launching your business, sometimes people don't get it. Even well-meaning friends and family might be like, I don't get what you're doing, and that doesn't really support you. So remembering not to get too hungry, angry, lonely, or tired. Like as parents, like if you're a parent or have observed kids or just anyone that you care for, like you can tell it's like, oh, okay, my kid's having a meltdown because they're hungry. It's been a few hours since they're eating and now they're just like freaking out about something. So it's like, okay, you've been working on your sales page for half the day, haven't eaten, now you have a headache. That's not a way to nurture yourself. So I'd love to hear in the comments, what are some ways that you appreciate nurturing for yourself? So the third one is protection, like that fierce mama bear energy, right? Like wanting to protect their cubs. I know that you all have it for people that you care about. You can have that energy towards your clients. You can have that energy towards kids, towards anyone that you love. But part of protection is, yes, keeping physical safety, but having boundaries around your work. So these are some ways that it can look. So that means like protecting your time, protecting your energy, because it's like if you don't have energy, then it's hard to show up to do the things that you want to do in your business, whether that's videos or teaching or bringing good energy to your sessions. It's protecting your dream from naysayers, from people who don't believe in you, or even if they mean well, but it has a negative impact on you. And so one thing that comes to mind is just like, I know that my parents were protective of me and were mindful of my friendships. And now that I'm a parent of a 7 and 9-year-old, it's like you want to protect them. It doesn't mean you can protect them from everything, but the things that you can, you're going to do your best to do that. And so as the mother of your business, like that dream was given to you and you've got to protect it. Sometimes not everything is ready to be revealed unless it's in a safe environment that's rooting for you or supporting for you. And protection also could be legal protection, like having clear agreements with people, like our contract is this long, this is what it includes. So there isn't any misunderstanding later because there was a clear contract. It could be boundaries around time, right? So are you available on the weekends, or this is your work schedule? And it's fine if you want to work on the weekends. Sometimes I work on the weekends. It's not so much about whether you do or not, but whatever your specific boundaries are around your time. I know that you have boundaries and that you would encourage your friends or clients to have boundaries, yet sometimes we're not aware that a boundary has been crossed until it's been crossed, which is fine, because then now it tells you, okay, next time I'm going to do this. I guess the shadow side of protection is that if we're so overprotective of everything, then it's like you're walking around tight. Sometimes we can be so protective of our ideas, for example, like, oh, I don't want anyone to steal my idea, which doesn't mean that you shouldn't move with caution. And it can be a barrier to getting the help and support that you need if you're so protective of your stuff. So I would love to hear anything that you're implementing in your business to protect your time, protect your energy, protect your ideas. These are divine ideas that you have. How are you protecting your space? So the fourth one is guidance. Like, you look to the mother for guidance and direction. You look to her for intuition, for wisdom. What do you think on this, right? And so you are at once the guide and you're directing the course of action for your business, but sometimes you need guidance. Sometimes you don't have all the answers. That's where maybe you look to accountability partners, support groups, your own mentorship or coach to get guidance. Because sometimes we're in it and we can't see our way out and we need support to move forward. Um, do you have the structure that you need in your business? I was sharing on here a couple of lives ago that my daughter was home from school and she was just too many hours in the day. She didn't know what to do with it because normally she would be at school. And so I just needed to set her up, give her some guidance on how she could entertain herself. Not that there are many times where she can entertain herself, but in that moment, she couldn't quite think of it. And so sometimes we just need the kids just need structure to be like, okay, this is what you need. This is what you have. You're calling attention to it, and then they can do it. And does your business need structure? Like, does your day feel like, oh my God, I have so many hours. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to best use my time so that I'm not just working all the time. And so what's the guidance? Are you in need of external guidance? Some of you might be really good at structuring your day, and maybe the mother needs to say, hey, like, you've been working on that so long. It's time to go to the park. Let's get out of the house. Let's go flow. So we talked about guidance. So the next one, there's more, but the last one that I wanted to mention was sacrifice. So type a 1 in the comments if you're with me, if this is landing with you, and if there are any ways that you're noticing that you would like to mother your business more. So sacrifice, I think, is a word that is not seen as incredibly sexy. Casey says, I recently had a client not treat me the best, and it motivated me to finally get my website up so I can start working towards getting new clients that motivate instead of frustrate me. Thank you so much for sharing that. And part of what happens is as we work with clients, we start to get really clear on who your work is for and who it's not for. And there's so many things that, it's just interesting to hear you say this, because it's making me think about, conversations that I've had with my kids where I won't say, I'm like, oh, okay, so this situation happened with a person. Do you think that someone who's your friend would respond that way? How would you like to be treated? And so I'm glad that it motivated you to, maybe you have a new avatar. And so these are things that you could put in place, right? So like on many of my pages, I'll have like, who is this for? This is for you if. This is not for you if you're the type of person that, what are some things I have on there? Like, if you don't do the work, right? Like I've been that person in the past of like, you accrue a lot of stuff, but you're not implementing. So it's like, if they have a pattern of not implementing, they're just going to come here and not implement. So what that does is it has the person stop and be like, and so this is a beautiful opportunity to be like, oh, these are the types of people that I enjoy working with. The clients that have the best results, this is the type of energy they bring. These are the types of things that they've done. And so what you're doing in that process, Casey, is having people self-select and, coaching, healing, guiding. It's a relationship with another person. And sometimes those things can happen, right? And just like you said, it's going to help you refine your avatar and call that in. Gail typed a 1 in the comments. Awesome. So I was saying that sacrifice is not a sexy word in this age, right? Like everybody wants everything, and you don't want to have to sacrifice anything. And, I can raise my hand to a lot of things of like, yeah, I want that, but I don't want to work, right? And there's a shadow side to sacrifice. But when I think of sacrifice, it's about releasing or surrendering something that you want now for, in the shorter term for long-term gain, right? And that can be hard because maybe there's something that you want right now, So maybe let's just think about investing in yourself. You might be like, wow, I want to use that money for something else. I want to go traveling. But if I put that money aside for a down payment for a house, it might take me, I don't know, months, years, then I'm going to live in my house. right? So type a 1 in the comments if you can connect to, like, it can sometimes feel hard to sacrifice. There's something that you have to sacrifice. Maybe it's time, you know? Maybe you might have to let go of something that you actually enjoy, an activity that you actually enjoy right now, so that you actually have time in your life, in your schedule to work on your business. So, um, part of a mother's job is to sacrifice. But as I'm saying that, I don't mean by that put yourself last. And maybe there's a different word, but I couldn't think of it in the moment when I was creating this. It doesn't, because there is a shadow side to sacrifice where you just are always putting yourself last, always putting the needs of others first. Like, oh, what's your needs are more important than mine. That's not what I'm talking about. What I am talking about is sometimes, like, a lot of things are competing for our attention. And what it means is, like, you really have to know what your yes is. And if you're a yes for something, then it might mean that, you know, while I'm thinking of, like, since we talked about kids earlier, while your friends are out partying, like, you're here preparing for this exam because you want to get into that specific college and you want that scholarship. And so, yes, it might hurt you in the moment that you see pictures of people at that party that you missed, but the value of the thing that you want is greater than that party. And, there's many examples that you could use, but you want to sacrifice for your true yes, for your sacred yes. It's not about martyrdom. It's like being devoted to a dream that is more important than the temporary current pleasure, which is not easy, for myself included, right? You're like, no, sometimes you just want it now. And we always, part of our job as coaches is living in the land of possibility. And, like, how can we, is there a space to have both? And sometimes there is, and sometimes there isn't. But as you continue to ask the question and open to that question, like, you step into the land of possibility where more opportunities are available to you. So I'm just going to do a quick review of the things that I mentioned, and then I would love to hear what's standing out for you. So some of the qualities we talked about were compassion, like having compassion for yourself and for others. However, oftentimes I feel like people struggle the most with having self-compassion. We also talked about nurturing, giving quality attention to your business, but also nurturing yourself in the process, because if you're not well, if you're not energized, if you're not feeling healthy, like, that's a hard place to build and grow from. So we want to be nurturing ourselves alongside of nurturing our business. 3, we talked about protection, how you want to protect your time, protect your energy, protect your ideas from people that might, even if they don't intend to be unsupportive, but if it impacts you negatively, then it's just like you want to hold that dream in a sacred place and bring it to a place where people know that it's such a gift to be able to witness and be a part of your vision and your dream. We talked about guidance. That you're the guide of your business, but however, sometimes you need an external guide because you're in the weeds and you can't see the bigger picture. And then finally, we talked about sacrifice, like, what might you need to give up for something better, for the better that is really what you want, even though that other thing might be giving you some present day pleasure. It's funny. It makes me think about my dad, because he's always be like, darling, in life, you have to postpone pleasure. And I'm a very pleasure oriented person. And I would say, like, that I tend to put it first. And so this isn't about, like, I wouldn't say that I'm that extreme. Like, how can we bring pleasure to the things that we're sacrificing? because what we're wanting to get, like, is gonna probably give us the biggest pleasure that we're really desiring. And then finally, I wanted to leave you with some things. Yolanda said pleasure first. Yes. We love pleasure over here at the Business Queen Academy. Johnette, hi, Johnette. Johnette says, this is a great refresher as I'm striving to balance all the things. I love my business and how I get to serve. I wouldn't trade it for anything. Oh, that's so beautiful. I love that you love your business. And, that's the art we're all trying to balance. Like it's not just your business. You've got family, you've got relationships, you have children, you've got parents, you have other things in your life. And I think part of the way that we can mother our business is like, okay, what's our highest priority? What are we really working on? And that if we can do our best to prioritize those things, so many monumental gains can be achieved. So we also talked about that your business relies on you, and not to fall into the trap of putting your personal needs aside just to focus on your business. It might make sense for a particular project, like, it just makes me think of school when you just needed to pull an all-nighter, or there are times, your child's needs are going to be primary, like they're needing you. You need to feed them, right? But if that's just your life, your business life ongoingly, it's not sustainable. Do you have work hours? What's your schedule? Do you work on the weekend? Do you have a life outside of your business? There was a time where my life, like my children are young, but when they were younger, it was mostly about my children and my business. And because like Jeanette said, she loves her business, I love my business. And I felt like it was what I would think about, talk about. And it was just, and I had to realize like I'm more than my business. And like it feels so good to coming back to my hobbies again, and loving my hobbies. Like your business isn't all that you are. You have an identity outside of your business. It's just a part of you. And the more you enjoy your life outside of your business, I think it helps renew and refresh your take on your business. Because if you're just your business, you're going to be depleted. And then you also don't enjoy your life. Like that's not the queen look that we're going for, right, guys? No, it's not. So you want to enjoy your business. And then I didn't talk about like having a great environment to work in, right? So I know Jeanette's a teacher or former teacher. It's like the teachers always tell you, like, have your kids have a place to work where they can set up so they can feel like, okay, now this is time to work. And if you can't do that in your home, maybe there's a place that you love to go to, like the library or a cafe. In Yolanda's vein of putting pleasure first, like having an environment, a quality environment that feels good for you, supports you, is conducive to you working on the things that you want to work on. So those are some ways that you can mother yourself for business growth, mother yourself to support you in growing your business. And I would love to hear what your takeaways are. What's your favorite way to mother your business? What advice do you have for clients in terms of supporting themselves as they grow their business? So I'm just going to see here if there are any final thoughts before we complete. Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining today. And I look forward to seeing you next week. All right. Bye now.